Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Blue Abroad Show. Good to be here once again. Mondays, 8 p.m. You know the time slot. I'm Terry, your host, and I've got Pom with me yet again. What's up, brother?
Yeah, the boys. How we all doing?
Mate, it was a fiery green room just then.
Mate, we've put the world to rights. We've completed 2022, so let's start preparing for 2023.
If only people knew what was the conversation that was just going on before we hit go live.
There should be a tier of membership that lets them get exclusive back scenes access.
To the banter before the show.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? To things that we don't say on the live.
Oh, love it. Speaking of new members, Chris Soras has become a new member on the channel. Thank you very much, Chris. One of our many Greek friends on the channel. Pom, do you want to have a crack at his surname?
You've said what? Soros. I was going to say something that sounded more like thesaurus, but I mean, each to their own.
Absolutely. No, it's good to be here. It's the calm. It's all starting to bubble. I think we got our first little taste of preseason action. Like the women are coming up. That's coming up before we know it. That'll be here. We got some preseason photos of Marchie, so warm the cockles a little bit, and there's always something to talk about.
Mate, there is. And how good is it as well? Carlton Instagram, they're just throwing out pictures of Carlton players training. That is my favourite time of the year. That is, when we just see random pictures and we're looking for a slight bigger calf and we're believing that means that they're a better player. It's my favourite time.
It's the best. It's like, who's put on size? Who's leaned up? This time of year is all about like lighting and angles on skin and direction of sun and also combination of like the Photoshop editing that gets done behind the scenes as well, because you can make someone look in real good shape when they might not be.
Mate, I'm already excited, and I haven't had a slow motion of Cripper doing a spin in a contest yet. When that hits, this could be game over.
Absolutely. Okay, look, let's run the intro and get the show started because we've got a lot to get through.
What's going on? Fucking today!
Martin's been very impressive.
Every single time!
Thanks to all the Carlton supporters, thank you for the love.
No sense of playing Glasgow. And there's a magic moment. Ball inside 50, control! He strikes it beautifully. He's got it.
Hey, love it. Okay, let's get our members the shout out that they pay for to start off with. Thank you very much to the members of the channel. I'm glad to finally show you the Corey Durden signed match-worn Guernsey came in the mail this week. That's part of the sponsorship package when you sponsor a player. Pom, this is a very special Guernsey. 19 straight goals were kicked on this particular Guernsey. So no, it's good. It's good to get. I actually, when I got it, I couldn't believe like how small it was compared to me. Like if I tried to put that on, it'd be quite the show. But it's cool to have a piece.
He's only small, is Corey, bless him. But I mean, plays big, but is a small bloke. Can you imagine? I bet that smells of disappointment, doesn't it? That shirt, 19 goals. I'd love to smell that shirt. I mean, what a thing to have in your possession.
Well, to be fair, his one didn't smell very good because he was I think he led the team in pressure acts that day with like 35 or something. From memory, he ran himself into the ground that day.
He did, bless him, and the ball never came near him as well because he was at the other end. So I mean, hard working, bless him. But no, I mean, hopefully that's iconic because it might be the last time we've ever seen that amount of goals kicked on us. So.
You'd fucking hope so, mate.
Let's hope so.
We're going to be watching that. We're going to be watching that again next year, are we? 19 straight goals.
I don't think I can cope because you got to remember as well, my off season's been horrible so far. So I'm not getting my 6-month break. So the boys better perform round one.
I know. And look, listen, I know this is a Carlton fan channel, but look, mate, I've just got to rub it in while I can because the Gunners, baby, and United are a shambles. And I was very interested to see the response to the conversation we had last week about David Teague and the the connection between him and Oleg Gunnar Solskjaer, and didn't realize how many Manchester United fans we have here, and some upset Manchester United fans.
Oh, mate, the similarities are ever endless. You've only got to get into a Manchester United forum at the moment, and you're getting the David Teague speech of he's a red blood, which is my favourite because Carlton fans use the blue blood. It's better to build it and cultivate it internally than it is go out and get someone else. Yeah, it's a shit show, and we need our own Voss. We need our own Voss at the moment. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I know Taylor's in the audience. He's a big City fan. So good day to you, Taylor. Enjoy it.
So he's lapping it up. No, look, it is interesting this time of year. I mean, I watch this, I don't know about you. I watch a lot of the NBA in the off, like the footy off season. I grew up playing basketball, so that's kind of like, I think also with just sports media, America for me is at the top of the tree when it comes to the way they present it. But yeah, it's always interesting. We're going to have a bit of a conversation around some themes that do pop up overseas when it comes to, training with players from other teams. I know that was contentious this year, and we've now got some news about skinfold testing being removed, which we'll talk about as well. And then tonight, I know we said we'd do it last week, but tonight we're going to do a fresh, day one of preseason for the fans. And we're going to do our best 22, and we're going to, every so often update it until round one and see how close we can get it. So, and then also we're going to have Shannon on shortly to talk a little bit about the new show on the channel, the AFLW show. So listen, let's get started with everything. We'll start with some important news throughout the week, and that was the final numbers of the Doing It for Doc movement. For those who aren't aware, we as a club, fans, players, supporters, and just the community in general, ended up raising $201,671 for the Peter McCallum Cancer Foundation. I don't even want to know how many heads were shaved, but as a final number that the club put out today, it's quite fascinating what was done.
Mate, it's phenomenal, isn't it, of just what the community does. I mean, it shows what is great about sport. We are a family and we rally around our own. And sometimes it's good to remember that, isn't it? That we bicker, we argue, we fall out. But at the end of the day, if any one of us falls down, you've got 82,000 plus people willing to prop you back up again. So it's a great message to the players, I think, as well. It's a great message that we are here with them. Do you know what I mean? We're not an enemy with the most powerful ally. So God bless Doc, our co-captain, and marvelous effort from everyone, whether you've shaved your head, whether you've donated, liked, shared, anything. I think that just credit to you. And that's the only way we beat cancer. Yeah,
that's right. And I think also it was just, just to reiterate, it was just good to see our men do something on their own accord. It wasn't something that the club put up for them to do. It was led by the players, obviously led by Cripper, the captain. And it was, I don't know, like it's just, you can tell that they're thinking a little differently now. They're not boys anymore. They really are men. I mean, they've always been men, because once you're in the system, once you're a professional, that's the way it is. You're coming up against fully grown adults. And so it's just good to see them thinking like this and thinking for one another.
Oh, mate, yeah. I mean, there's so many kind of analogies you can take as well out of it, can't you? Fresh start, shaved head, total buy-in. Your mind can work wonders with it, can't you, really? But it does show how together they are. And I think it was a great moment, wasn't it? Because when Teague got sacked, there was all this innuendo that the players were somehow loyal to Teague. Not loyal to the club and loyal to each other. And I thought, to me, that showed a total flip and showed that they're loyal to each other. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who the leader is. If they've got that bond, it just needs someone who is a leader to direct it in the right place. But that's phenomenal for me. And let's hope we see Doc back on track, because we'd rather see him on the track than anywhere else. But whatever he does, we wish him the best, don't we? I think I speak for everyone saying that. Yeah,
definitely. Moving on into November, and this is something that the boys have been doing for a while. I think it's been led by, I'm pretty sure it's been led by Jack Silvani. But the 6 of the boys who are growing their mows to save a bro, and they're taking part in Movember. So we've got Jack Silvani, Lockie O'Brien, Mitch McGovern, Liam Stocker, Jack Martin, and Ed Kerno will all be growing their mow. And I don't know if any others are going to be getting involved. It's I mean, for Jack, he spoke about his motivation stemming from the loss of his grandfathers, Barry and Sergio, who both battled cancer and other health issues. And they're a big reason as to why, Movember is important to him. He's looking to help men stop dying too young, and good segue into, tough conversations. And, we are in a revolving world. We're in a very distracted world. There's a lot going on, and we're moving away from that tough guy, keeping things within mentality, and we're moving more into strength in vulnerability, which I think is great. I think it's important to have those conversations, and I guess this is just a timely reminder that especially with what's happened over the last 2 years, it's probably, if anything, well, for me personally, it's forced me to open up about things and what's going on. Because I'm not sure. I'm grateful. I live with a housemate. I'm not sure about those that live alone, but it's important, and that's kind of what this is all about too. We have a lot of people here that reach out, and Pom, you speak to people a lot, even in your line of work, who are vulnerable. So it is important, if you are struggling, you have somewhere to go and an outlet.
Oh, mate, for someone who struggled with mental health issues a lot when I was younger to where I am now, and now I'm fortunate enough to help people with it as well, I can tell you the most manly thing you can do is control your emotions. That is the most manly thing to do it. And if you're going to associate that with not crying and not talking about it, that's the wrong way to look at it. To control your emotions is to understand your emotions. And the only way you do that is share them. So honestly, the most bravest thing I see a man or a woman do is put their hand up and say, you know what, I'm not okay. And you'll be shocked. We're all not okay. Let me let you into a little secret. We all have our low moments. We all have our high moments. We all bleed. We all cry. So no shame. And it's great to see these young men do it as a role model. When you see the girls do it, the boys do it, it's a great role model to children out there that it's normal. I remember the most powerful thing I saw was Dustin Martin talk about thinking about killing himself after 2017 because he'd reached the top. What else did he do? His life had been achieved. And I think that's a huge thing because, do you know what I mean? We associate winning with happiness, don't we? And sometimes it's the opposite. And you'll be surprised. Some of the richest people you'll meet are usually the saddest. But yeah, brilliant from the boys. I love it. I love that Jack's open as well. And I think that's a great thing because he's a family man, wears his heart on his sleeve. And the more we get exposure, the more we normalize it. Yeah,
exactly right. I think Liam Stocker also does a really good job of just leading the way and being a real ambassador for speaking up and for mental health. And I've realized in this off season how proud I am of the humans that represent the club. That's something that not that I wasn't proud of them beforehand, but it was really enforced as to who they've really emerged as people, I think, in this off season, which ultimately is more important than anything else. Like, I know we attach our happiness to, winning premierships and whatnot. I think it's more so because we know just how united and happy the time in general will be when we're winning games of football regularly and whatnot. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about being good people. And that's what we do have as players.
Mate, I think we're very fortunate as a fan base. I know that I'm sure I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but I'd hope everyone knows that I'm not a complete tit. And I feel the same about our fans as well. Do you know what I mean? We've got a wonderful mixture of people. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to have a beer with everyone, but I've got to say everyone's heart is genuinely in the right place. And that's how we grow as people. Do you know what I mean? You've got to have that level. And if you watch Stocker on Twitch, he's phenomenal that he's open about, being homesick. And I thought that was tremendously brave because to an old stereotypical man, being a man and being homesick, there's a stereotype in there. Oh, you're a bit soft. Oh, you want your mummy. And I thought that was incredibly brave that he was honest enough, and the power that has on a young boy to realize this guy bashes heads for a living. Do you know what I mean? Bashes heads for a living. but now he's talking about missing home. And it shows you that being tough and being in touch with your emotions are two different things. You can still be a tough man, woman, and still have a heart. There's no different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, spot on. Spot on. Bradley's asking about the Kerno poster behind you. This would be a great time to let him know where to find him.
This is sponsored by. Get yourselves on to Pommy Sports Almanac. I make them, and if you go on my channel and you comment, you will be into the draw to win one of them. So, but yeah, you can buy them. There is all sorts. Get on there. It's amazing. The best website on the internet, owned by me.
Love it. Love it. Okay, Pom, I'm gonna pull you out for a moment, and I'm gonna bring in Shannon, and we're gonna have a bit of a chat. So stand by.
All right.
Shannon Gore, hello.
Hello. How are you, Terry?
I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic.
I'm feeling the juice again. I'm excited again.
Yeah, no, well, when we had our conversation the other day, I was starting to get a little bit excited that footy's not gone. It's still there, and it's getting a little bit more real, that we can actually possibly attend more games than we did this year, with everything lifting and everything falling into place.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, this time last year we were hopeful. We weren't sure. We eventually got back to games. Everything felt like it was normal, and then before we knew it, it was taken away again on both fronts, with the with the women and the men. And I guess the lesson is just, when we do go back, we just got to embrace it and enjoy every moment for what it is, because just can't take anything for granted anymore, really.
No, we can't. And I think the last 18 months is proof that we can't take anything in life for granted, footy or otherwise. So
yeah, absolutely. What's been happening in your off season? What's the gist of your world?
Well, I work in football, so football is pretty much everything at the moment. So just starting to get back out there and starting to deliver some football programs to people who missed out in the majority of the year. So it's a busy time for me. So yeah, no, it's been very busy.
Absolutely. Well, it's about to get a little busier, and I've brought you on here for a reason. First of all, because I enjoy having you on the show, as you know. But for those at home who haven't seen the news, I'm going to play a little clip, and this might give it away. But stand by for me.
Vesio with all the experience in the world. She kicks.
There it is, just on half time. Maddie Prasparkas.
Cool little one there. So, Shan, tell us a little bit about what's going on Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. from now on.
Well, after a few conversations with yourself, we have come together to put together an AFLW show starting this Wednesday night. It's going to embody everything AFLW, starting with obviously last season and where we think we are heading into 2022, and leading right through the season up until finals and winning the flag.
Love it. And I think it's important on so many fronts. I mean, I look at myself as like a test case for the AFLW, because I missed season 1. I wasn't in the country. I wasn't really watching it. Came back halfway through season 2 sort of thing. And it took me probably, I would say, 2 full seasons to become comfortable knowing who was who by name. Now we've lost a few players, obviously, so I've got to learn a couple of new ones. But yeah, that's the idea. I think it's important. I think it gives just another branch to the tree of the conversation that we can talk about. And for those who maybe are in a similar situation to where I was, where you don't really know who the players are. You love the fact that people, don the navy blue Guernsey and wear the monogram. And obviously that's really what it is for me. Like, we've got people who represent the club now, more people representing the club. And I guess it's just an opportunity for those who enjoy the AFLW, but also want to learn a little bit more about it and who our girls are and how they're going. I think that's great.
Yep. So we're going to be doing player previews for all the players on our list. So we'll start off probably not this Wednesday night, maybe next Wednesday night, we'll start off and go from number 1 and work our way through the list just to introduce our AFLW players to everybody and just give them a little bit of a preview of what to expect from them this year.
Yeah, I'm excited. If there's anybody in the audience, by the way, who would like to get involved, please just get in touch with me, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. Just send me a message and I'm sure we can work it out. Shan, I also wanted to play a little clip. This was from during the week because it was about Diesel, who's obviously come back to the club. He's now a board member. So let's just have a listen to this.
He goes through the mark by Williams. He's going to get the goal anyway. Greg Williams has got it for the Blues.
Greg Williams has walked back into the club and he's got to know all of us girls, and one of his focuses has been driving the standards throughout AFLW and the AFL program. But to have a different voice around the group, I think the girls have enjoyed.
It makes my job a hell of a lot easier. Having a guy like Greg Williams floating around. 2 Brownlow medals. We're talking about football icons. Who wants to be and is a willing participant in our program. He happens to be the footy director, so he's got a level of emotional attachment to it. But he's out there and he wants to be a part of it.
I've never actually met him before. I think one of his main focuses as well is he's wanted to get to know all the girls and play an important role, and he wants to be a part of it, and just sort of pulled me aside one day and just started doing skills with me, and then I come in on an off day and started doing skills with him and sort of started to build that relationship with him and pick his brain, and he's going to sit down with me and go through some stuff on the computer about how he sort of played his game and things like that. And I'm really excited, and I know my parents are more excited than I am.
Nice to have some people with the level of experience that he has come in and go, okay, I think, this is where we can improve and this is what we can do. And the level of intensity at training has certainly gone up, and that's because we have an expectation on ourselves and have an expectation on the rest of our group that we know that this is what we need to get to, and the only way we're going to get there is by, doing the work early.
Our girls see that, what a champion he was, and he's out there trying to help, trying to make them better. I mean, that's unbelievable. I don't know if that's happening across the competition. I don't know if they get access to those sort of players or icons of their footy club. But I will encourage every champion of our footy club to come down and say good day whenever they like. They are masters of their craft. And if there's 2 or 3 tips that they can pass on to our players that they can use in their own game to make them better, which makes us better, happy days from a coach.
You hear him on the sidelines yelling out, grip the ball or something like that, or push, and the way he sort of spoke to me about my game is sort of similar to how he played, and he wasn't the quickest player, and he's been the first to say to me, you're not the quickest player either, and I totally agree with him, and just said you don't have to be, but your touch has to be the biggest asset of your game, and he's just been really big on that the last couple of sessions, so I'm excited to work with him for as long as I can.
I love that.
Oh, that. When I first saw the photos on Instagram, I had to do a double take because I'm like, is that Diesel? So, no, I am super proud that someone of his stature at our football club has taken the time out of his life, not just to be there for the men, but to be there for the women. It just shows the growth of society today in terms of the way people look at AFLW and the way people kind of have this stigma against women playing football. Just to see someone like Diesel down at the football club at every training session and even taking Maddie aside like that, it just warms your heart.
100%. I feel like there's like a meeting of the worlds of, the old school. Diesel obviously comes from the 80s, 90s era. And he's a champion and he's a club grade and all of these things. And obviously now he's on the board. And I just think there's something special about him working with Maddie Prasparkas, who really, you watch her play. I mean, like she really is unbelievable to watch. There are very few players you can watch that like make you want to keep watching the game the way she does. And like, can you imagine what it does for someone like, for all of them, but for someone like Maddie, who in her own right is, one of, if not the best players in the league, to have Diesel Williams coming and giving time and energy and care. I love it.
Oh, I would take it up in a heartbeat. If someone came to me and said, hey, Diesel wants to work with you, I'll be like, yes, please. Where do I sign up? You don't take that opportunity for granted either. So I'm rapt that he's down there with the girls, and the fact that Half has opened it up for any past player to come down is just phenomenal. We're going places finally, I think, in both fronts.
Yeah, I think so. I hope so. I'm probably more confident watching the women than I am the men, if I'm honest, because they're just tougher in general, I find.
Women's football is tough. It when you watch it, you kind of get the gist that the girls are there to play, and they throw their bodies on the line just as much as the boys. It may not have the same impact because they're not as big and as strong, but it still hits pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the conversation's been around the skill level, but I mean, I guess when you put it in context, we're talking about a 6-year-old competition, professional or semi-professional. Yeah. So that I don't even worry about that. That'll come. That'll only get better and better. And when you look at all the clubs right now, ultimately they've drafted brand new lists only 5 or 6 years ago, and they continue to draft. So we need to think about things more about, okay, what are we putting in place for like a decade from today or 2 decades from today, right?
And this is the kind of stuff that I'm doing right now in my job at AFL Victoria, is we're looking at each league and we're helping participation rates and starting from Auskick, because our future AFLW players, even our future AFL players, are starting at Auskick now pretty much. Because in 10, 15 years time, they'll be 18, 19, and they'll be the draftable players. So it goes through Auskick through to junior football, NAB league, and then they get drafted. So it's starting at the grassroots and remembering that football starts from grassroots. So that's pretty much my role.
Love it. Okay, awesome. Well, hey, listen, I'm excited for Wednesday. I'm going to be around. I'm hoping that those in the audience that are watching now will come and get around it as well. And we'll ride the wave. And before we know it, the season will start. It starts, what is it, early January, right?
First weekend of January, but we're still waiting on a fixture.
Okay, that might be that could be a talking point on Wednesday night.
Definitely.
Love it. All right, Shan, good to chat with you. We'll speak soon.
No worries. See ya.
See ya. All right. I'm excited for Wednesday. I'm really excited. I saw the clip with Diesel, and again, another layer gets added to whole club, total buy-in. We're not just, he's not just there to focus on the men. He cares about giving up his time as well for the women. It's good. It's good to see. I'm liking what I'm seeing.
And you've got to remember, he's a director of the club as well.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So he's getting his hands dirty, which I think is a huge thing. Whether that's with the kids, with the women, or with the men, I think that's something that we want to see, because I think that reflects, if I was a male player, that would reflect on my perception of the women straight away. That one of my bosses is not only a club legend, not only done everything that I want to get out of the game, but he's also knuckling down and getting his feet and hands dirty with the women, which instantly says they're equal, that they are part of this football club as you are as well. There is no difference. So I think it's a great perception for the club as well. I think that's a real good thing. And I think it's a huge buy for a young girl. Imagine being an 18-year-old girl and Diesel Williams, the person your dad's probably bored you to tears about, is now teaching you the fundamentals for you to have an AFL career. I think it's phenomenal. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And it's great to see all the other AFLW clubs as well steal that idea. Ben Brown working with the Melbourne Demons as well. I think that's a wonderful little outlet. And I think that's only going to make the game grow, because honestly, I see David go to play Auskick with the boys and it's mixed, and the girls have as much fun as the boys. Do you know what I mean? And trust me, some of them girls are just as tough, if not tougher, than some of the boys. And it is quite funny, because there is that perception when you're talking to the boys, they're like, oh, there's a girl there. And then suddenly this girl skins them and snags a goal, and it's the look on their faces, do you know what I mean, that they're all together. And I love that, because that's different, because when I'm old, 36, boys and girls didn't play soccer together. So it's great to see it. And long may it continue.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, Wednesday nights, the show is called, Stuart in the audience is asking what it's called. It's called the AFLW show. It was literally just given to us on a silver platter. No one's taken it. So the AFLW show is what it is. And yeah, it'll be live every Wednesday night. So definitely get around it. It'll take us all the way through to Christmas, and then January we begin, and we're right into it. So looking forward to that. Pom, we're going to talk a little bit about there's two things. We're going to do the best 22 in a moment, but before that, one of the items on the agenda for tonight was, there was some footage that surfaced, and I've spoken about Harry Mackay in this instance doing his speed training with the Speed Project in Melbourne. He started doing it last year, and it started to grow some legs in the sense that other players from other clubs are now working with this same company to work on their speed. So you'll see, if you go on their Instagram, you'll see, their weekly rankings, who has the fastest, from 0 to 10 meters, and then I think 0 to 60 meters, and who has the fastest, speed in terms of kilometers per hour. And then it went through another layer today because there was some footage on Channel 7 about our boys training and doing scrimmages on a footy field with players from other clubs. I think I saw Jeremy Howe and, Jordan Ridley with Harry Mackay and Pendlebury and Taylor Adams and whatnot. And I guess it prompted a bit of a reaction that I saw today on Twitter, because there is a school of thought, and it's whether you call it a conservative school of thought, an old school of thought, or just a competitive school of thought. But there is a school of thought that, we shouldn't be playing, they shouldn't be mates. It's off season. They should be doing training on their own or with their own, teammates. I don't want to see Harry Mackay matched up against Jordan Ridley in a little scrimmage. What's your take, Pom?
Well, you know that I'm archaic. So, I mean, I'm of the school that in my little head, I like to think that these guys hate each other. So I'll validate it, because when I was a golfer, I had a lot of mates who were golfers, and I found it very hard to play golf with them recreationally or go to the driving range with them, because if it was the same sport, I felt like I was either giving something away or I lost my competitive edge. When I went out, I liked to want to take everything from them, their wives, their families. I had to get into that mindset. I'm going to dominate you and own you and take you back. But I do understand that we are now in 2021, and I've got no doubt that they do it. I prefer not to see it, though. I like to keep the story illusion in my little mind that, Patrick Cripps goes to bed at night with a voodoo doll of Ollie Wines, and he's just sticking needles in his ACL. Like, that's what I want from my players. But I've got no doubt they're in the same industry. They're going to have beers and be friends and train together and stuff. But I don't personally like it. I know I'm old-fashioned and you're going to hate me for it, Taz, but I don't like to see it.
I'm not going to hate you for it. I just think I think there's more to be gained from it than what people believe. I mean, look, at the end of the day, yeah, it would be great if Harry and Jacob Wiedering, for example, just 365 days a year, trained with each other, on each other, and got each other better. But the reality is, when they're in their off season, I just think, Harry's the example because he was in the footage. He goes there, he sees the other, and it's not like he's training with just random players. We're talking about gun players, Taylor Adams, Jordan Ridley. We're talking about serious players. I just think there's something to be learned from it. And at the end of the day, as long as when we play against Essendon, Harry runs through Jordan Ridley and we see that competitiveness on game day, then I'm okay with it. But if I start seeing things like, he didn't go hard enough in a contest, I think when we played Essendon, if you remember, Zach Merritt, he sort of let Cripps run and kick that goal. And I mean, if I was an Essendon supporter, I wouldn't have liked that, because that they're, that they are mates. But you see it everywhere in the world. You see it in the NBA. They do scrimmages with each other in the off season all the time. I believe it gets more out of them, to be honest. I mean, I remember when I used to play basketball, we used to do scrimmages and whatnot with people from other teams. And I'm a competitive asshole. It actually made me more competitive to see what shape they were in the off season, and it gave me a little bit more juice of, okay, gee, he's looking good right now. I need to step it up a bit more. Stuart, this is a good one. He said, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. So I think there's a method to the madness. And I don't know. I saw the reaction. I just didn't think it warranted a big deal. That's all.
I don't think it's a big deal. I mean, just me personally, though, I just like to see them mentally just hate these people. I mean, there is some people out there. Great example, Roger Federer spends a lot of his time with other players and his own rivals, hitting balls with them. Doesn't do him any harm because he can switch off. I always judge everyone like myself. It's probably the worst thing to do. And I know that if I'm too pally with someone, that affects my competitive edge, that I suddenly start thinking, oh, I don't want to hurt this guy. He's my mate. And I need to have that little separation where I can go, you know what, I want to take everything off you. And then I'll give you a hug and build you back up. So I'm fine. Harry strikes me as the kind of guy that, I mean, he goes through his brother, I'd imagine, when they play. Harry looks like that kind of guy that if he's in the back garden at Christmas and his grandma throws a ball in the air, he's going to lay an elbow into Ben's jaw. So, like, it makes me feel that way anyway. But no, I understand where people are coming from. I'm old school too. But it's the modern day game, isn't it, where they don't hate each other. It's just a big love fest.
Yes, absolutely. What I'll do is I'll put the link in if anybody wants to join us tonight, just to come on and have a chat about whether it's this or anything. Just hit the link, come in and have a chat with Pom and I. The next one, mate, was about the AFL. They've changed a bit of a rule. So this might get you going. No longer will draftees be required to take skinfold tests. And the idea behind it is, you know, they don't want to have a situation with, you know, body shaming, or I guess it's related to mental health in a way as well. And there are a couple of clubs that have already hit out at this, and that's Sydney and the Bombers. It's a developing story. It only happened about an hour and a half ago. I was really taken aback by this. I mean, I can kind of understand it from like a junior point of view, but not when we're talking about professionals.
It's going crazy, isn't it? The world is going mad. I don't like it personally. For me, it is like going into the army and you suddenly say, right, tell you what, we're not going to have a fitness test. If you want to shoot a gun, come on down. Do you know what I mean? Like, there has to be a minimum standard. Now, I know that the BMI register and stuff that was used in the old days of NFL drafting, etc., is now proven to be false. You can be over your BMI. You can have skin folds. Look at Berbatov is a great example. He was quite a chubby player. He scored high on the skin folds. However, he was incredibly fit. But I don't like when you're saying that it's to body shame and things like that, because these players aren't going to be body shamed. If you are your size, look at Zion Williamson. He's bigger than the average bear, but he's a pure athlete. He might not be at the moment, but genuinely he is a pure athlete. So I'm not a big fan. I think when you start to dilute something to make it more inclusive, you take away the privilege of being in that position. It should be hard to get into. Do you know what I mean? That's why they are there and we are here. So I'm not a big fan of it. I understand where they're going with it, but can't you do something different? Like, just not release these skinfold tests? Like, is that so hard?
Yeah, and that's the thing. They don't release them anyway. So I don't know. It almost seems like, and maybe they need to talk about it a little bit more as a league, but I never thought it was a problem. I mean, we here as fans, we've spoken over the last 12 to 24 months. We've made comments about, well, Zach Williams hasn't really been in shape, which he hasn't, and that's been those are comments that have been made widespread amongst mainstream media. We've got Mitch McGovern. It's been told he had to go into Andrew Russell's cage and get fit again. Like it's part of is it not part of the caper, the pressure of being in elite condition, because you are. I think, when you're a player, you're ultimately a representative of the entire football club. And I just think skin folds are just such a small subsection of the things you need to be doing in your off season or even during the season, and keeping them up at an elite level. And ultimately they're almost like a KPI for the footy club. When players come back to preseason, you take a skinfold test and we find out what your off season's been like. It's a good indicator, right?
Yeah, well, you look at the things like body fat percentage. That's a big requirement for an EPL contract. There was a great video. I think I've forgotten the name of the guy. I watched it the other day. I think it's by Kieran Brown. He actually did the fitness test to show you what was included in it. But they have a rule in mantra. So if your skin folds are X, you have to score on a certain mark on the bleep test to ostracize that. So they've worked a wonderful gradient out saying you might be a little bit chubbier in physique. However, you may be incredibly fit. And this is what you need to hit. And they were saying, the guy who did the test, a lot of footballers fail the old school skin fold test, but absolutely destroy the bleep test and the oxygen retention test. It's absolutely crazy. So I'm not a fan of it, because to me, if a player is going into the draft and he is affected by being told he's overweight and he's not of the frame of mind of what do I need to do to fix it, he's probably not going to make it anyway, because it's a very insular mind you've got to be. Like the first question, if you fail your skin fold test as a young footballer, should be, how do I make it right? What do I need to start eating? What do I need to start training? That should be the first part of call. It shouldn't be, this is discriminative to me. But, I mean, that's just me. I mean, I don't like it. I'd like the AFL to kind of clarify what they're doing in substance of it, because, I mean, hopefully it's not going to be a free-for-all. Do you know what I mean? Hopefully you're not going to totally downplay it, but I'm not a fan of it.
Yep. I don't know. It's just another one of the things that happens in this world of ours that we question. But I guess, like everything else, once it becomes mandated or once it becomes part of the league, it is what it is. I'd like to think that they'll still be taking their skin folds privately, but we'll see how that one plays out.
Mate, I love it. I mean, it's a weird time, isn't it? 2021. You know what I mean? Professional athletes can't be fitness tested properly.
Imagine that.
You know what I mean? It'd be interesting to see if any players have actually been upset about it.
Yeah. I feel like it's going to be a developing story, so we'll see how it plays out. Next up, we're going to do it. We're going to do our best 22. We're going to do it right now. So for those watching at home, please feel free to play along right now. So basically, let me just take a look. Where are we here? So a few photos came out. Tell you what, skin folds look good here. It begins
look at
here.
Chera, man, with a shaved bonce.
He's got the thick hair. I think the big one here is Caleb Marchbank looking. I mean, from all reports, he's training at full capacity, and you know, he should be available. From what I've heard, that he should be available, you know, by the start of the year. So that's exciting. But what we want to do is we want to try and this will be something that develops over the next few weeks and months leading into round one. But we're going to have a look and do a bit of a projection of what the best 22 would be like right now. So we're going to do it in a way where you guys at home can get involved as well. We're going to start with the defenders, then we're going to move to the midfielders and the forwards, and then obviously the ruck. Now, there's a few rules I'm just putting in place generally, and that is, I think it's, you know, suffice to say, Sam Doherty, we'll leave him out for now because there's just, you know, for obvious reasons. I think Dave Cunningham as well, because he won't be ready until mid-year-ish. Those are the only two I can think off the top of my head. But basically, we're going to start with the defenders. So the back seven, we're going to start with right now. So, Pom, do you want to maybe read out your back seven? I'll read out mine, then we can, you know, go from there.
Best looking at Marchbank, I want to bring him in now. Look at him, Adonis.
So Marchbank's, we're screwed it because Marchbank's available now.
I've fallen for it. I've fallen into the trap. I've seen a picture, and he's in. What a melt! My back seven, I've gone in no particular order. I've just picked 7 names. I've gone Stocker, Jones, Kemp, Newman, Wheater, Insard, on the Pine. Everyone's favourite, Lockie Plowman.
Okay. So I went Stocker, Wiedering, Plowman, with Williams, Jones, and Sard at the half-back line, and then I've got Nick Newman as that 7th one. So Stocker and Newman will probably interchange there and whatnot. I don't know if Zach Williams, he might be a midfielder by round one, but right now, as it stands. I think that's the big difference there. And that'll obviously allow someone else to come into the team because you've got Williams back there. So you're of the firm belief that Williams will be a midfielder eventually by the time it comes to round one.
I'm hoping Vossi is like his Uncle Pom, and he's like, you paid a handsome fee to be a midfielder. There is no free passes here. No free passes.
Yep. I think, so for those of you at home, put in your back seven right now. We'll get him up here. I think if Marchbank is fit and available and at his best, I would be having Marchbank over Plowman in my back seven. That's how I would be going it, but I just don't know. For me,
based
right now,
on 2 good pre-season games, though, that would be my caveat. But I would agree with you.
Okay, yeah, fair. Because are we still going to be doing that 2 pre-season games?
I'd imagine they'd bring them back. Yeah, I'd hope so.
Yeah. West Express, incorrect. They all shave their head. Incorrect.
Yeah, every bloke on that list is forlorn on top of his head now.
Absolutely. So yeah, okay. So those are the back seven. Generally, I think how far away would a Lewis Young be or a Brody Kemp?
Quite close, I'd say. I mean, for me, Brody Kemp is in it. He's in it. I think Carlton haven't got anything like him, and that's why I've demoted Plowman to the bench. Purely because I think that Kemp goes over him in that intercept role, and I think Stocker and the rest can make up for when the ball hits the deck. But I think when you look at Kemp's improvement in them last couple of games, and I think of what you can see he brings, his good ball use and his ability to take the game on for his size. He's got Tom Stewart vibes. And you look at the top 4, they all utilise a Tom Stewart vibe type guy. And I'm a big fan of Kemp.
Yeah. And then I guess the next layer after that is like the Tom Williamsons and whatnot. Because Willow, I think it's an important year for Willow coming up. So I'm not really sure where he is and where he has solidified himself just yet.
I feel like we've said that every year for the last 3 years about Willow.
Well, to be fair to him, he was coming back from injury, but now he's definitely well and truly back from injury, and now it's more about performance. We're now talking about performance.
To be honest, I think this backline is probably the hardest to pick outside of Wheaterin and Jones. And I'll say the reason why it's so hard is because you don't know what these guys are going to be like in a proper team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There you are. I've realised I'm lagging. My battery power's gone. There you are. I'm back.
I was waiting for that to sort itself out.
There you are. But yeah, no, I think it's really hard because they have no tactics. So it's really hard to work out if this backline is any good with good structure in the midfield when the ball isn't coming in easier than getting a bit of cake at your nana's house. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be really interesting how that plays out.
Okay. All right, let's move to the midfield. So we'll pick 7 as well. I found this one really interesting because I've got 4 names off the bat, easy, not a problem. I've got Cripps, Walsh, Chera, and Hewitt. Lock them in, easy done. I've then gone for Dow and Fisher. Who's my 7th? I'm gonna back in. I know this will be controversial, but I'm backing in Will Setterfield. I am backing him in to get back into this best 22.
Jesus.
Yes. So I don't have Zach Williams in the midfield. I've got him on the halfback flank because I think with Doc out, we really will need a really good halfback flanker. I think Williams is that. But those are my 7 mids right now.
Okay. Well, I've tried to cheat as much as I can because I like dual position players. I like that rotation. So I've gone obviously Walsh, Cripps, Hewitt, and Chera. I think everyone's got them 4 in. Then I've gone Zachy Williams. Then I've gone Paddy Dow.
Yep.
And then I thought Voss, powerful brand. Matty Kennedy is my boy.
Okay. Yeah. I think him and Setterfield are kind of 1A, 1B in terms of one position in the 22 come round 1. I think that's... at the moment, obviously, this is all subject to change. I mean, Sam Philp might just blow their socks off in the preseason and just lock in a spot. Lockie O'Brien might do the same and get himself, on the wing and in the best 22. But I'm backing in Setterfield.
Mate, I rate it. I mean, let's be honest. If Setterfield is in the best 7 midfielders, fucking hell, he's improved a lot. And that is only good for whichever was the 7th best. So if that means he's better than Kennedy, Dow, Zach Williams, that's a huge asset for Carlton because they're going to have to improve to get back in. So, no, I like it, Tez. I like it. Dream big. Dream big.
Dream big, mate. Dream big. Then we've got the forwards. So who did you go with your 7?
Okay, well, I've totally cheated. I've got Martin, Silvani, Kerno, Mackay, Honey, and Owies.
Okay.
And secret 7th is Fogarty.
Nice. Okay, because he can also rotate as well, right?
I've just gone pure rotation. I've tried to fit as many people in.
Look at you, David Teague, looking after your mates.
Looking after the boys. After slating Teague all year, all the people Pom likes are in his 22.
Jesus, you've gone soft, mate. Tell you what. I went with Martin, Charlie Curnow, Mitch McGovern, and then Jack Silvani, Harry Mackay with Josh Honey. And then I've got Ed Curnow on the pine. I know that we talk about, we've got to look to the future. Let's be real. Ed Curnow trains as hard as anybody else on the list. Voss will love him. Voss will give him a role. And I just back Ed Curnow to work as hard as it takes to get a spot in round 1. I just think you can't be discounting him. I don't see a reality where he's not playing round 1. Maybe towards the end of the year, he gets pushed out because somebody has really developed and we have to look to the future. But come round 1, we're going to war with Richmond. We need 4 points. That's the most important thing. And I want Ed Curnow, going to war.
I want Ed Curnow in my 22. I do. I think he will be there. Maybe at the expense of Fogg. I think the forward line, you are going to see him there. I do think I've got a sneaky feeling that that's where he'll be rotated through. And I think Voss will focus on the youngsters, but have that assurity that if the going gets tough, he can throw Ed back there. But who knows? It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I hope McGovern, though, you mentioned McGovern. We know that me and McGovern don't see eye to eye anymore. He's totally lost me after gaining me back last year. If McGovern somehow gets into this team and stays there, that forward line is filthy, isn't it?
Well,
it's filthy.
That's the thing. What I like to do every year is give everyone a clean slate. But I think for players like McGovern, it's a short fuse come round 3 or 4. If it hasn't happened and we're not seeing improvement from him, I'm going to have to really work on being, tolerant and patient. But as it stands right now, everyone's got a clean slate. And that's the reality. There's a new coaching group. They've all hopefully been told that what they've done in the past doesn't matter. All their reputations in the past don't matter. And they get a fresh start at it. So I'm willing to give everybody, a total forgiveness and move forward. And, if fit, when he is fit, Mitch for me just offers, we're just a better team with him in it.
You're a good human, Tez. You're a good human.
Well,
I'm just saying the streets don't forget. The streets don't forget, Mitch. You shook my hand. You had a beer with me. You fucking lied to me, Mitch.
Looked me in the eye and told me we're winning the flag.
And I won't forget it. I won't forget it until you win me a flag. We're done. But no, hopefully he gets back in, joking apart. I mean, if we can get 40 goals from him,
40, mate, I'd take 25. Honestly, I'd take 25.
Nah, he owes me 40 minimum. If he gets 40, I'll get his face tattooed on my back.
Okay. Well, so I'm just projecting Harry. I'm going to say something like, let's just say 60. I think he's capable of kicking 55 to 60.
Cheers, baby.
I think the question then turns to, and that's what happened this year, like who are going to be the second layer and third layer goal kickers for us? Now, Charlie, I'm hoping we can get 30 from him. Mitch, I'm hoping if he's a forward, I'm hoping we can get. Is 25 too much to ask for? Is it like, am I being so crazy to ask for 25 goals from Mitch?
Oh, no, you're not. I mean, it's chicken feed for I mean, the bloke on his day, I'll be honest, the bloke on his day, he's good. He's good. Like, on his day, minimum 30 goals. In that midfield, I mean, with that midfield now, minimum 30. He should piss 30 in for Bants. But Pom's big call. This is what the goal kicking's going to be. Mystic Pom, right? Mitch McGovern will finish the year with 29 goals. Harry Mackay will be 52, but with 63. A man that is said to have been crafted in God's own tears. The prodigal son is back, baby. This is Charlie Curnow's league. Charlie Curnow's league. No one forget it. That's his league.
Hey, if it happens, I'm not going to put the pressure on him, but if it happens, we're having a really, really enjoyable year next year. Really enjoyable.
Mate, Charlie's going to... One step, 60-metre goal. Charlie is the AFL. Forget about it. Collingwood fans in chat. He's going to beat you single-handedly. Richmond, he'll kick 7 against Richmond. You watch. Charlie Curnow will announce himself. 7 goals from the big fella. And I'll divorce my wife and marry Charlie.
We will be, there will be a scene. There will be an absolute scene. And then there's a ruck. Now, I guess I've made some rules. Whether you agree with playing 1 ruck or 2, I don't know. But if we had to choose 1 ruckman, who are you going with?
Mr. Worldwide. Pitto.
You're going with Pitto over Tom, round 1.
I want to see what the top 3 hit-out winner by the bye does with a coach that actually knows what a midfield does. That is what I'm wanting to see.
Wow. I would go TDK, but I get what you're saying. I really get what you're saying because, and obviously we if this is the situation where there is 1 ruck, you've got someone like a Jack Silvani that can chop out, who can play 3, 4, 5 minutes in the ruck if need be. Very interesting. Okay.
In an ideal world, if you look at what Voss has done historically and you look at what the new forward line coach has done as well, they play with a third tall. They're both third tall systems. And that third tall has always been a ruck forward. So I would quite like to see TDK be the McGovern in the forward line, play the Peter Laddams role, play the Timmy English role, the Rowan Martian role. And it gives you that beautiful way of ruining rhythm because rucks now are rhythmical. The rhythmical. So you've got 1 big strength ruckman, 1 agile ruckman, a great way to ruin rhythms. So I'd like both of them in. But if I'm choosing one, I want to see TDK hone his craft a bit and Pittonet just keep doing what he's doing. Fair
enough. No, I like it. I mean, and also with these teams, we haven't really made like a big, bold call, like dropping for example, maybe he won't play McGovern straight up. Maybe he won't play Jack Martin straight up. Maybe he won't play, Zach or one of these players. I don't know. Maybe he'll go for like, Sam Philp might have a great preseason and go bang. Fisher's not in. Sam Philp is in on the wing. So we'll see how that goes.
Mate, I'm with you. I mean, I've made 7 changes from my template from last week. So I don't know what has influenced me in 7 days, but something has.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're going to see 3 new photos in the next 7 days of someone, and they're going to be straight in that best 22. So we might do this every couple of weeks.
Every day.
A new best 22 every day. Love it.
I'd love to do a fan poll. So we do a fan 2022. Like a fans 2022's 22. See what the people suggest. It'd be really interesting.
I think we can set that up for sure. But that's a good exercise.
Really interesting.
We'll see how it plays out. We're going to bring in some guests who have been waiting patiently. We're going to start off with Lek Dog. And here he is.
Oh, here he is.
Boys.
Hello, sir.
Can you hear me? Audio working?
Loud and clear, my friend.
What's going on? This is the least hair I've ever had on a Blue Abroad stream.
I was about to say it's the least hair I've seen on your head, but there's something growing on the face, mate. Speaking of Movember, you've begun.
Yeah, Movember. It's starting to come back. Normally it's back by now strong, so I'm worried I'm starting to develop upper lip alopecia, but we'll talk about that off air. I don't know. I missed the first few minutes of the stream, so you guys might have covered it. But did we talk about a couple of players are going to be promoted to the senior list from the rookie list? Matty Kennedy and Josh Honey. Did we cover that?
Well, Pom really went with it about a month ago, but we did not cover it today.
Well, yes,
he made sure to let me know about it too.
Me and Nick Austin have never been seen in the same room.
We'll see on draft night. We'll see your little head floating around. But I'm buoyed by that, and I actually think Matthew Kennedy will find his way into our 22 very quickly. And I love Josh Honey, obviously. But, Pom, what does this do for us? I think we've got about 35 on the senior list now, if you include those two. Obviously, we'll take 25 to the draft. What else are they doing?
Well, I mean, that basically means that the last 2 picks will be rookie upgrades. We probably skip the rookie draft, Category B, Dom Akakui. And then we just basically have a meeting like this off camera and work out what we're doing in the off season. Now it's finished. Beers on tap.
Do we know if Matty Owies is still Cat B eligible?
He's still Cat B. So the AFL have changed the rules and they've just like basically now Cat B infinite until COVID disappears.
Is that right?
Perfect.
They're just making rules up on the fly now.
The AFL wouldn't do that.
No.
I don't really understand the point of a rookie list, but we can discuss that in a later podcast, Pommy.
So does this look like it's going to be like a really low-key draft period for us?
Yeah, I think it'll be, as you said, Pom, 1 pick, 2 upgrades, I think, if the maths works, or maybe an extra upgrade outside of the 2 guys we've mentioned. There's a chance, if Sam Doherty's on a long-term injury list, that we draft someone else. But yeah, it sounds like we're going to be pretty chill. We're going to win the flag anyway. We won't even need to make changes to the best 22, so it doesn't really matter.
I've got a feeling that if Doc does not play, I think that they might take that to the mid-year draft, because by the sounds of the VFL, thankfully Josh Cripps has been confirmed Carlton spoke to him for VFL, not the AFL. So I've got a feeling that the club may be doing what we suggested last year. Now we own the VFL. Go for some of these kids that aren't going to be drafted and dangle the old carrot of we've got a pick in the mid-year. Whichever one of you performs the best, you're on an AFL list. And I think that's the way to go. There'll be a lot of kids this year not drafted. There'll be a hell of a lot. And, I mean, I see Charlie Mackay's names in the comments as well. He'll be one that will go undrafted. Get these kids into the Carlton reserve side and say, look, 1 carrot, 1 position, here's a chance for you. So go out there and do it. And it keeps them in-house. They learn the system. And you basically cheat in the system. I'm surprised no one did that last year when it was the option. And I think that's the cleverest way because they train with the seniors. You get to teach them the ways. And bang, you've got a ready-made player.
Yeah, I think Sydney have done it, came out today, that they're probably going to sign Paddy McCartan to a rookie deal or in the SPP, supplementary selection period, SSP. And they did just that. They had him on their VFL list last year playing with his brother, Tom, I think his name is. He didn't have an amazing year. He had a game where he kicked a few goals and punched a bloke in the head, which was interesting, but looks like he's getting signed. So I think it's a good opportunity, Pom, as you say. That's what we should be using the VFL. That's why it's good to own your own team. It's, you see NBA clubs do it with their two-way players, and sometimes they bring in vets who haven't quite made the level and let them try their hand and teach the younger guys. It just makes sense to me, right?
Well, I mean, you look at the EPL, what they're doing now is they're bringing in ex-pros to play with the under-23s, and then so they can teach them the standard and what's required as a professional. And then that's how they've proven that escalates a development. So I'd love to see Carlton do something like that. Look at, like, I'm not saying Bryce Gibbs, but looking at like a Bryce Gibbs type player, bring him into the VFL team and he's your standard bearer. He knows what it takes. And then get these kids who have slipped through and say, look, we've got 1 or 2 positions in the mid-year draft. Make it yours. Make it yours. This is your last opportunity. And I think you're going to see a lot of clubs do that. That's the smart play. The smart play. So your Josh Cripps, he's perfect for that because he's about 4 years away from elite level football. So it would be the biggest waste of pick. If you've seen him play, he's nowhere near the standard. We haven't got 4 years to wait. So on a list spot. So it's a great position to have him in, working with the first team, seeing him. He's local to Crips, got that loyalty, and see where the sky goes.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys you could do it with. I don't think it's realistic because based on what he said on his way out, but Michael Gibbons, I think he'd be great at that if maybe that relationship was a bit different. And guys like maybe Nathan Vardy, who's, won a flag and retired, but probably could still go and play lower div, get a few dollars and teach the players something. And, if Matty Cruiser could walk, he'd be someone you could look at even in that position, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, we said it last year. I would have loved Mark Murphy to be taken in some kind of coaching, playing role for the VFL side. And his job is purely to play and teach the guys the standard. The standard, say, this is what it takes to be a professional. This is the level that we need. And working with them every day and harbouring it. Because I think the VFL, if the clubs are clever, this is the cheat code. This is the cheat code to cracking the rookie draft. It's the cheat code. And Victorian VFL clubs, now we've got all the other states in our VFL and just making a mockery of it, is the way forward. We can cheat because we're Melbourne. We're Victoria. We are the AFL. We have got the one-stop shop to get in the AFL.
Agree, Pom. I think it's a great opportunity. We just need to be a bit clever about it. And I think, they took a look at a guy like Ben Crocker who made the All-Australian team. I don't think or the equivalent, whatever it was, the best VFL team. I don't think he's of AFL quality, but there's a chance that he could have been, and he definitely set standards down there from, speaking to people around the club. So, and he had AFL experience. I think it's an opportunity to have a free hit, as you've said, on some younger guys, but also bring in some older guys to set up those standards. And I actually think Eddie Betts would have been really good at that. I'm not that I'm confident he would have wanted to do it, but I think that would have been, if you could have convinced him, would have been a great opportunity as well.
Well, I think Ben Croker's perfect as well because he's the level below AFL. He's too good for VFL, but he's below AFL standard. Yeah. And that's great for these young forwards because they know we know how good we've got to be just to make it. And that's why I think having a Mark Murphy or someone of that ilk who's played a few hundred games then says, well, that's the level he's at. This is where you need to be. And I think that's where the rookie draft goes wrong. You take a punt on a Norwood kid who's playing shit kickers football, because no disrespect to state football, it's Mickey Mouse to AFL. You need someone in there who says this is the elite level and you guys need to work harder. Like I like the Bryce Gibbs. Like I don't like Bryce Gibbs, but I think it'd be great to have him back and say, look, this is the standard. This is the standard, gentlemen.
Of how you've got to be. Well, we've got James Parsons is still on that list, right?
Yeah, but
I'm not sure if he's signed on yet, but yeah.
Yeah, but again, like someone who's played a lot of games, like who has been there for 10 years, I think that's the perfect type of player I'd have in the VFL.
Yeah. Another question I've got Doherty up on the screen. Is there a mechanism by which, I'm not sure if it happened when he was out with the ACLs, and I'm not sure if it's categorized differently now with what he's going through now. Is there some sort of a mechanism for list concession, salary cap concession for games missed, insurance, something like that? Or is this just part of the risk of being on the list and having a big contract?
I think Pom will know the details, but there is a lodgement date where you can put him on an LTI and open a list spot. I'm not sure what that does in terms of salary cap, if any of that's covered. Obviously, you're saving on match day payments if a player's not playing, which I don't think people consider when they think about the salary a lot, because it actually can be quite a contributing factor to that salary, those match day payments. I'm not sure if it has to be before the draft, Pom.
Yeah, they do have a provisional list date the day before the AFL draft, so the 25th. So Carlton could make the decision then to say, yeah, he's injured, he's out long term, and we take an additional rookie pick. That opens up your rookie to a rookie 7, so you can have 7 category A's. Whether they do that, it's tough to say, because obviously then Carlton are kind of effectively drawing a line under Doc all year unless there's an injury. unless there's an injury. So that's why I think Carlton will probably keep Doc in the hopes to give him till the bye. You can assess it because the turnaround, if he is given the all clear, you could say there's a good chance he plays back end of the year. And if Carlton are playing finals, Doc's the kind of man that you'd be quite happy to come in after a few games.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a big name. And even if he doesn't play, just him around the club will be a huge injection. So I think they may look at that, but who knows? You never know. Because I've got a feeling Nick Gostin's up to something. And it's just every time he talks, it looks like he knows something I don't. And
You've been saying that for weeks now.
Well, yeah.
What's he doing? Are we going to get pick 3 in the draft? How's it going to happen? Who are we trading at deadline?
No, he's just too calm. Every time you hear him, it's just like he's kind of taking the piss. And like, just everything's matter of a fact. He's so confident with pick 25. Like, that's what I find weird. He's just like, yeah, pick 25 is the best position in the draft. Super clean with it. Love it.
I love it.
Maybe he's taking
it's something we're just not used to. People having a plan.
Yeah, or confidence, or communicating, or
being able to do their own role.
It just feels like he knows something that no one else does. It's a man that feels like he's got 8 avenues to go through, and they're all brilliant. And so I've just got a sneaky feeling that he's up to something, because he's right with what he says. The interstate clubs are scared of Victorians at the moment. And that's like why you're seeing some of the fluxes. When me and Tez did that draft video, like Matty Roberts, 6 in some drafts, 42 in others. I've never seen that before in my life covering the draft. Like, people just don't know anymore. So it's interesting. Austin's right. It could be a case that someone bites. Adelaide say, let's take Roberts early. Port say, let's take Roberts a bit earlier than he planned because we know he plays. And suddenly then a top 10 talent's going to slip through. Like Campbell Chester's a great example. Probably a top 10 talent. But because he's played limited game time, he's slowly slipping through the cracks.
And they don't need to slide all the way either to pick 25. They could slide from pick 10 to pick 12. And if Nick Austin thinks they're the greatest player ever and he's got a chance at getting pick 12, he can make the trade on the night. And I know they've said they want to hold on to their future picks. But it's always an option. It's always there. If the guy you want, if your Liam Stocker's there on the night, you never know.
Yeah, and he has said that we're attacking the draft next year really hard, which I'm always of the school. If you keep saying the same thing in sport, you're doing something else. So that says to me that he's building the value up of the future first.
Yeah,
well,
it's going to take a really good deal to get it out of his hands. Yeah.
Because like Sauce was the other school who would be like, yeah, next year, pick 7, we're taking a Jacob Waitering clone. Don't worry about it.
Or we're getting Tom Papley.
where I like Nick Austin going, we're really happy with next year's draft class and we can fill a lot of our key position stocks and replenish them. So we want to go and hit the draft hard next year, which then I think if there is clubs who are going to do a Brisbane, because Brisbane are in a great position. They've got a load of picks all clumped together and they're going to be a tradable team. But they're also going to be a team that looks at what other clubs do. And suddenly, if a player slips to 12, they might go, right, 12, 13. Right, we're going to go there. Here's 18 and 20. Bang, give us that pick. So I think there's going to be a lot of shuffling in them early doors because a few teams will bite, I reckon.
Yeah, we just don't have a heap of flexibility without going into the future. But as you've said, Nick Austin, he's sneaky. There's something about him. You don't bring in all these free agents and stars and stuff and without being a little sneaky.
I like Nick.
I like it. Lekdog, can we also get an update on your Movember campaign?
Yeah.
And what you're doing? Because there's push-ups going on. I don't know. What's the go?
Yeah, I'm a partner with a platinum partner with Movember, have been for quite a while now. And I said previously I've just done a lot of running and exercise because, I'm not a very fit person most of the time to boost up the Movember and make myself feel better mostly and healthier. I always use November as a bit of a kickstart. But this year I said I'm going to match every dollar raised with a push-up and I severely overestimated A, how strong I am, and B, how much money I'd raised. So we're on about $1,800 so far. I've done about, I did a count today. I've only done about 350 push-ups, which is about 350 more than I've ever done in my entire life combined. And my arms feel like they're falling off, but it's for a good cause. So
I'll just put the link in the comments if you want to donate. If we can get him to 2,000, we might actually get him to have a heart attack on camera.
2,000, mate. 10 grand. I want to see him do 10,000 push-ups.
He'll be built like Charlie if he does that.
Mate, if I have to do 10,000, I would do the 10,000 push-ups. I just can't guarantee that I would be able to do them before the end of November, but I would 100% do them until I finished. But, mate, I'm doing like 70 or 90 a day or whatever the maths works out, and I'm already struggling. So,
mate, it's great. You get those 1,800 push-ups done, and you might get that Category B list spot.
Nah. Oh, well, thank goodness they've gotten rid of the skinfolds test, because I might have an actual chance.
You've got a good CV as well, that dog, because you are the John Lennon of fantasy sports, as we call you in our group chat.
Yeah, you dubbed me that. It's one of the greatest things that's ever been said about me, Pom.
I've got to say, do follow Let Dog on Twitter as well, because unlike a lot of people, his mustache content is tasteful and it is short and sharp and to the point. It's not 555 posts a day. So Let Dog's in a group with me and he sees these ranks every day. Let Dog is one of the few that I do like and share it because it's not clogging up my newsfeed.
Pom, I could do anything and you'd let me get away with it.
Yeah, there's limitations, but genuinely, 90% is fine.
Yeah, so shout out. Thanks to everyone who's already donated.
Yeah, no, appreciate you, mate, and good luck with it all. And I look forward. You must come on like as close to the end of November as possible, so we can see the journey of the Mo. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, she'll be thick.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks,
awesome,
boys.
brother. We'll speak to you soon. All right, we've got the Chera enthusiast.
The link isn't for your. I can't grow a mustache.
He's just and we've got one more. Kev.
Where did
Terry.
the Chera enthusiast go?
Mommy, how are you guys?
Hello, mate. We are good. How
Thank
are you?
you for joining my streams. Oh, glad that lockdown's over, mate. I've been struggling this whole mental health with lockdowns. We're at the point where I'm drinking soft drink, trying to help that out. Started to go to the gym twice a week, and I did swimming as well. So, yeah, I'm actually glad that life is back to normal.
Yep.
Absolutely. Down to 90 kgs as well. Congratulations, Kev.
Thanks, mate. Really appreciate that.
And things are going to be nice.
And thank you, Pommy, as well.
Kev, I was going to say things are going to be back to normal for you once the pies start losing as well, right?
Maybe. Well, same thing with Carlton too.
Well, that's all we know, mate. That's all we know. It's nothing changes for us.
Who's going to stop this?
I do think that you guys are under pressure next season. I hope that you guys give Ross time to grow as a coach and really get Carlton back up to playing finals, because you can't just keep sacking coaches every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, we can.
Till we get the right one.
You'd be surprised.
Trust me. Look, my dating history will tell you one thing, right? Just keep replacing them. Eventually, you get married. So it takes about 18.
Oh man.
What's your Kev? What's your
you make my day, Pom.
I'll try.
Kev, what's your
my
forecast for next year for the Pies?
12th on the ladder.
12th on the ladder.
Honest.
Okay.
What about Carlton's?
And that's without any injuries at all. I think it's going to take a while to get used to the game plan. And once we start to develop and grow into it, I think we're going to start rising up the ladder.
Mm.
And where do you have Carlton?
I don't know. I picked Carlton to be in the 8 this year, and they let me down.
Yes!
I don't know.
We converted you.
So will you go again for us for the
You
8th?
convert me, mate, but you guys still let me down.
Well,
Yeah, I have to do the.
Kev, I'd like to think that you're a
I
low
can't
key.
hear you.
Yeah, listen to me. I'd like to think you're a low key Carlton supporter beneath the surface, mate.
No, my mate says to me at work that I should change my YouTube channel to Kev's Blues.
I agree with him.
I agree, yeah.
But no, look, I just want to see like both our teams up there playing finals against each other. Like the AFL is no good to having teams like Collingwood, Carlton outside the top 8. We've got to be in their top 8 just to make it interesting and spice it up a little bit for sure.
I think so. I think the Swoop Luke, Pommy and Oz watch alongs on the channel next year are what we're all waiting for.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I mean, it's not many people as well. I've got to say, I do love Kev and Swoop Luke and the Pies fans that join, because I never thought I would live in a world where I was 35 years old and doing a rap video. And I lowered myself to that standard. So, all for the name of football and entertainment.
I can't say I'll be doing that, mate. I'll give you the hot tip. Although I did say I'd never shave my head, and I did that, so you never know.
I'm really glad that you guys have subscribed to my channel and been on my streams. And if you guys want to join me on the PlayStation voice chat, you guys are quite welcome to join in. And we're happy to have this discussion with you.
Love it.
Much love, Kev.
No, we appreciate it, Kev. Hey, thank you. Thank you very much for joining the show tonight. We'll definitely be in touch.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Love you both, and whatever happens next year, make the best team win. And yeah, if you guys are struggling with mental health, like, don't be afraid to come out and say, I know I've struggled with it. I'm medication for it. So, like, I'm just glad that everything's open up, that I can go to the gym and just have that release point again of not having to worry about a single thing.
100%. Well said, mate. Have a good night, hey?
Yeah, love yous both.
See you, mate.
Love you too, mate. I love Kev.
Now I've got to be nice to the Collingwood fans. Like, he just melts me.
Mate, it's fine. I always find it hard because me and Mr. Swoop Luke are chatting about the round ball. And I forget, for a while I forget that he is a complete villainous wanker. I think he's a really nice guy.
It's funny because you don't want to see Harry Mackay and Jordan Ridley competitive, but you and Swoop Luke can be bummy chummies in the DMs and loving each other and showing the love.
Different. You're not paying me 6 figures, bro. You pay me 6 figures. Do you know what I mean? And I'll start doing memes of his mum. Like,
fair.
Do you know what I mean?
Fair. Okay. We'll start going for ripping throats out. I like it.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I would soon turn. He would PM me asking me for a beer and he'd get a volley.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, guys, that'll do it for tonight. Thanks for joining in. Pom, thanks for joining in as always. I look forward to, first of all, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. AFLW show. Keen to see that one. And then we'll be back next Wednesday. And I think over the next few weeks, things will start really ramping up, preseason updates and whatnot. And we'll keep an eye on that best 22. So we'll leave it there. Have a good night and go the Mighty Blues.